Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, I thought we would talk a little bit about unveiling the past, how childhood shapes beliefs and values. So let's get into this. Um, in the work that I do, it is my strongest belief that your life experiences from the time that you are in utero until about 7 years old impact the entire rest of your life. So, when you consider that your body sort of acts a bit like a memory foam mattress, you know how you push down on the mattress and it sort of makes an imprint and it remembers your shape. Um, your body absorbs all of the experiences that you had, whether they were positive, whether they were negative, whether they were, it doesn't matter what the experience was, your body has been your trusted vehicle through your journey. And it's absorbing, 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 because when you're little, that's sort of how you do. You're kind of like a sponge and you just absorb everything that's around you. And you often think everything is your fault. If things aren't going well, you think it's your fault. Mom and dad argue, or mom and dad have challenges, and somehow it translates to feeling like it's your fault. Now, as adults, we don't often realize that, and we can adult, let's see, what do they call it? Mansplain. You can adult splain. You can adult splain things away, but the child in you still carries wounds. And what's challenging is that what was perceived as hurtful as a child, there may have been all sorts of good reasons for it. That, and I'm not talking about the traumatic and abusive kinds of things like my history was. I'm talking about general things that impact children as feeling like, it's just like the end of the world because they cannot see everything else that's happening around the situation. Example, there was a story I heard of one time, and I believe it was a man who had challenges with his father, like throughout his life. And he had this feeling that his father left him and didn't want anything to do with him. What had happened was there was a situation when he was around, I want to say 3 years old, and his dad needed to go to work. And the little boy needed him to pick him up, and the dad had to go. So that translated into this little one's mind that his dad didn't want him, didn't love him, and needed to leave him. And it wasn't until years later when they were able to talk about the situation and actually resolve it. There's another story that I heard. I have tons of stories of my own, but I'm giving some other examples. There was a child who was pretending to sleep in the back seat of the car, and it was his birthday, and he overheard mom and dad talking about money and talking about the fact that they were concerned about money. um, they weren't arguing or anything, just concerns around money. Well, they were on the store, or on their way to the store, to get him a birthday gift. And so when he gets to the store, all he's thinking about is, oh my gosh, mom and dad are having money problems and they're going to buy me a birthday present. And it's all my fault that they're having money problems. So he didn't want to look for anything for his birthday. He became very concerned about the well-being of his family. And his mom was prompting him to find something for his birthday. So he looked for like the least expensive book he could find. When I was young, there were books that were pretty inexpensive. I would say, maybe less than $1 or something like that. So he was looking for something like that. And what, so that's such an important story to learn. The parents had no idea what was going on. But the little boy had internalized what he heard from mom and dad to thinking that was his fault and therefore his responsibility to try to help not take away from the family. Now, this happens in every aspect of our life. It does not matter if you had a traumatic and abusive childhood like I did, or your family was totally joyful. And as far as you're concerned, there was no issue whatsoever. My work isn't about finding blame or assigning blame. It's not about that. There's no, oh, because of them, I'm this way. It's not that at all. Instead, it's awareness. It's becoming aware of these patterns that you have in your adult life that came all the way from childhood. I watched this play out over and over and over again in my relationship to money, the way that I parented, my relationships with men. Um, it played over and over and over again. And every now and then I will see it still pop up again, even with the amount of healing and work that I have done. But now I'm very aware of it. So if I see that I have a particular block or a particular trigger around something, I go, let me see what maybe could be the root cause of this. So everything that we experienced as a child, and keep in mind, it wasn't just mom and dad. Could have been aunts, uncles, siblings, grandparents, the neighbors, school, TV, radio, like anywhere you were, there can be certain things that you never quite got past, or that somehow you internalized as being the way that it was. On my own journey, imagine this. So I came from a family that there were several who worked in the government, like federal government. I became a mother when I was 17 years old and working a retail job, which I was fairly happy about. I was planning to be a fashion buyer. Well, my mother's belief system and worries for me was that the only way that I could really make a living was working for the government. Keep in mind, my mom had also been a teen mother, and this had been the path that she eventually chose that gave her a way to support us in a way that we know that we hadn't done. She was afraid of sales. She was always terrified about money. So think about how this is impacting me. Okay, she was a pregnant teenager, which terrified about money. She had trouble finding jobs that paid very much, but she could type. So she knew that as long as you could type, you could get a job. This was back before we had computers and we were just using regular typewriters. So she instilled in me that as long as I knew how to type, I would always have a job. And she sort of guided me, pushed strongly, whichever term you want to use, to work for the federal government. So what happened is over time, I began to believe that sales were scary, that anything that wasn't in the federal government, I was not going to be able to make money with. And I was not going to be able to even get above a certain amount of money because we actually have these, I like to call them governors. I don't know if you are familiar with a governor in a rental vehicle or like a moving truck, but what it is it's on the speedometer and you cannot get above this certain speed limit. So in our own life, we have these sort of limitations built in that feel like our set point, like we really can't get above it. If we get above it, then we have to come back down to it. Oh, sneeze. One sec. Huh. Is it? So sorry. So we cannot get above that. So with me, after 10 years, I was getting so sick working for the government because it was out of alignment for me. And I left and I ended up making like $5 an hour at that time at a video store. And no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to make any money. So I would go back to the government because that felt like, and then I would get my paycheck back and I would get my benefits back and I would get all the things back, never realizing that I actually had the power to create all the things that I wanted, but I didn't know that. I was giving that power away to other things. Also, within the government, I was unable to ever get above a certain pay. If I would see something, I would immediately think, oh, that's above my skill set, or oh, they would never hire me for that, or I would have these thoughts and never apply. And my resume, my sister at one time looked over my resume and she said, who is this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, I know my sister and I know what you're capable of. And this resume does not give me any of that. Your resume basically says, hi, can I get you a cup of coffee? And doesn't give any indicator of what you can actually do. She helped me revise my resume. I looked at that resume and it was like looking at something very scary. I could not imagine presenting myself so boldly. I couldn't imagine presenting myself in such a way that said, I'm worthy of earning this kind of money. I couldn't even have imagined it. So I had to break through all these different kinds of beliefs so that I could improve my relationship with money, improve my relationship as a parent to my children, improve my relationships, romantic type relationships. I had to begin to look at all the places in my life that weren't at the level that I wanted them to be. And believe me, it can be in the sneakiest places. I don't cook food. That's an area that I still am working on. So I became a holistic nutrition specialist. I started selling Pampered Chef. Like I started doing things to help me move these places where I still found blocks. So this is to help you understand that if you have an error, if you look at your life as a whole and you say, man, I have got it dialed in. I've got the perfect relationship. I'm making all the money that I could ever want. I've got all the traveling that I could ever want. My health is optimal, my weight is optimal, like I have got everything dialed in. There is nothing that I need. Well, if that is the case, then way to go. I mean, let's talk because I really would like to know all of your secrets. For the rest of us, there's usually at least one area that we just cannot seem to make progress in. Like we just cannot seem to do any better. Sometimes it's one area, sometimes it's a ton. So, what is that for you? Where are you held back? Is it in your health? Is it in your romantic relationships? Is it in your other relationships? Is it in your money? Is it your relationship to fun? Are you having fun? Is it the work that you're doing? Where is it? Where is it? And every time I work with someone, we begin to uncover the little root that happened all the way back in childhood. And again, sometimes it's traumatic or abusive, like mine was. Sometimes It might be the smallest thing to your adult self that the child in you has never been able to get past, and it just keeps showing up in your adult life. So, this is Tammy Coin. I am your holistic alchemist. I would love to hear your thoughts on this video and where is it showing up in your life? Like this is an important thing, and I've met a lot of humans on my journey and everybody's got something. So, I am your holistic alchemist. I help you change pain into possibilities and possibilities into purpose. I offer a complimentary consultation. The link will be in the description and also all over the channel. So, I look forward to seeing you. If you'd like to book the consultation, we spend about an hour together to think about what you've got going on, what I do, and see if maybe we're a good fit to continue working together. There's no pressure, there's no anything. We're either a good fit or we're not. So I look forward to seeing you. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye bye and have a great day.